Hey everybody, welcome to what will likely be the scariest movie of the season as we take a look at the Bengals game-winning drive versus the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round. What makes this particularly scary is that this is the second touchdown of the game for the Bengals on just their second drive, and those 14 points were enough to take down the Bills. So you see the timestamp up there. This drive began in the first quarter with 10 minutes left on the clock. It ended with just under 4 minutes left on the clock, and theoretically the Bengals could have gone into time killing mode at that point. Very scary thought, unfortunately. One thing I wanted to highlight initially is that a common criticism from this game is that the Bills really weren't reacting to what the Bengals were showing them. And this is obviously just one play of many, but you'll see time and again that there's definitely some evidence that, the Bills were reacting. They were taking a look at what was across from them. Just simply things weren't working out. Down here, I'd like to highlight Tre'Davious White, who appears to be in, closer to press coverage, man on man. Up here with this, we do have a lot more distance between the receivers and the defensive backs, and that's going to make a ton of sense because of this grouping of receivers. The routes could change. They could be a little more complex. So you want this group of defenders and, of course, your safety tandem to make sure that they're reacting to that. Now, as this play develops, we see that's exactly how this plays out. Tre'Davious White is down here. Matt Milano is going to react to the running back. And this group of players is trying to sort this out and hopefully make something happen. Now, this is a 1st and 10, so it's not necessarily critical that they stop it completely, but you would like to see either minimal gain or hopefully a negative play. And right here, you see maybe a little bit of a stumble. I still think T. Higgins is catching this ball. He may not get that extra yard, but he's likely still getting at least 5 of the 6 that he initially got here. Supposed to be home field advantage, but with a defense predicated on speed like the Buffalo Bills use in their nickel base, slippery fields aren't going to generally be too helpful. Now, you may ask yourself, why are we starting at midfield? Definitely check out a lot of the running game highlights, or lowlights if you prefer, at least for the defensive side of things, on BuffaloRumblings.com. I have my GIF analysis up on that already. So we're starting this mid-drive just because I already took a look at a couple of those plays. Now, for this one, we are going to see Samaje Perine carry the ball. And initially, we see a double team here that's being handled pretty effectively. We have Matt Milano potentially able to shoot this gap. Tremaine Edmunds has this gap, and he's also scouting to see where else he might be effective. Now, as this play develops, we see this block swap from AJ Epinesa to Matt Milano. While that does potentially open a lane, it does allow Epinesa to come in, and you see Edmunds is already reacting and trying to get to this gap. The effect of that is that Samaje Perine is trying to cut inside. He's going to follow his lead blocks. You see by this helmet, which now we see the back of, while the double team was initially being held pretty well, it starts to crumble. And with that extra push from Samaje Perine, just enough to get the first down. So this is exactly a 4-yard gain. And that's a concept I want to come back to throughout these plays. But I'm going to put in your head right now, not a lot of spectacular plays from the Bengals on this drive, and really throughout the game. What we see is steady, methodical drives. Now for this play, we have our 3rd and 3. We've skipped a few plays. We're moving down the drive a little bit. One thing to point out, this is the first 3rd down of this drive. So again, that idea of that steady, methodical, there was a few chunks in there, an 11-yarder, 16-yarder that's in my GIF recap, and the touchdown we're going to see in just a moment is a 15-yarder, but overall, nothing crazy. Just the Bills are not creating negatives. In this one, you probably remember Boogie Basham jumping way offside. So even when we think we're about to have that negative play, unfortunately, execution just leads to it being a problem. Now, you may wonder why Basham is putting so much effort into finishing the sack when we all know it's not going to count. I think if you leave this untouched, it's going to result in a touchdown. Now, we know, of course, a few plays later, there's a touchdown anyway, but, Boogie Basham didn't know that at the time. So again, good effort, good hustle. Didn't count, but he still did the best he could. Now here on our 2nd and 5, this is a play I did do in the GIF recap, but I want to take a look at this from the other angle, and I want to kind of point out a couple things as we go along here as well. Now as this develops, you see Ed Oliver crashing through the line pretty quickly. Now compared to a lot of plays that we see on this drive, this is something we are used to seeing. Ed Oliver does that quite a bit. And we also see a lot of blue jerseys reacting to the run going this way. And because that Buffalo does have an advantage in the numbers game, and because this block is already taken care of, Matt Milano is able to knife in, grab the ankle, take down Joe Mixon. Let's take a look at this again, a little closer to full speed. And I want you to ask yourself one question. Throughout the course of the season, how many times have you seen a play like this? Now, for me, the answer is this looks pretty ordinary. This is something I'm used to seeing from the Buffalo's defense. It's something I'm used to seeing from Matt Milano. These negative plays, even if it's just for a yard or two, are really efficient ways to kill a drive. 3-yard gain, 4-yard gain, 5-yard gain. Doesn't sound like a lot, but if you have that consistently, of course you're going to move the chains. So you need these negative plays, and Buffalo defense is generally pretty good at getting them. Now, with that in mind, what I want to point out here is this was the only negative play on the drive. They just weren't making it happen. So something we're used to seeing just wasn't occurring against the Bengals. And this was the 2nd and final 3rd down. Shout out to BJ Monticelli, who's going to be covering some of the secondary looks in his analysis on Buffalo rumblings. But let's take a look at this one quick, and I'll do a little bit, but leave most of the heavy lifting to him. Now, the last play I said, really representative of what we're used to seeing from the Buffalo Bills defense. This is the exact opposite. So you see Burrow looking, he's definitely eyeing up this side of things. If we go back a little bit, you see what might be just a little bit of a pump fake. Nothing too major there. But what's really interesting to me is we see all 3 of these players bite. Now I want to highlight one person in particular to highlight how odd this is. This is Jordan Poyer, and he's already crashing down in this direction. Now because all 3 of those players are doing that, Hayden Hurst is free to slip to the back. Now Poyer is pretty quick to react to that once he does see that, but not quick enough. And I'm definitely not picking on Jordan Poyer. I think he's a player that we all appreciate. Hopefully we'll see him in a Bills uniform for at least a few more years. We're going to cross our fingers on that one. But I want to point that out because that's not something we're used to seeing. This is something that typically we covered much better. And with that said, what Hasters does with the ball is pretty much how I feel about analyzing this game for the rest of the day. Let's just get it out of here. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and yeah, if we feel a little bit sad about this one, let's at least do it together. Go Bills. Check out all our coverage on BuffaloRumblings.com, and I'll see you again soon.